Everything you've learned about eliminating bad habits is wrong. You fight against the act, the cigarette, the procrastination, but that is fighting a shadow, while the true enemy remains untouched. This is why you live trapped in the cycle of promising yourself you'll change, only to find yourself defeated again, drowning in frustration. The fault was never in your strength, but in your strategy. The strategy I will teach you doesn't come from a self-help book. It is the samurai method of Miyamoto Musashi, a warrior who treated a bad habit like a fatal opening in his guard, something to be cut out by the root, not managed with kindness. His method teaches us to stop fighting the shadows and to attack the true source of the problem, our attachment to pleasure and the identity we've built around our weaknesses. You are not your bad habits. They are just chains forged over time, and any chain, no matter how strong, can be broken with the right blade. If you are tired of merely treating the symptoms and wish, once and for all, to rip out the root of the problem, your journey begins now. What you will learn here is not how to live with your weaknesses. It's how to annihilate them. You believe your fight is against your bad habits, the cigarette, the procrastination, the low-quality food. But this is the first deception, the enemy's first feint. Your real fight is not against the habit itself, but against the emotional tie you have to the momentary pleasure it provides. You are not addicted to the act, but to the reward, the fleeting relief it offers your mind. The samurai method begins by identifying the true opponent. Miyamoto Musashi teaches that a warrior must be detached. He cannot be lured into a trap by the promise of an easy treasure. Your bad habits are that trap. The first step to freeing yourself is to observe the desire without identifying with it. When the urge arises, stop for 1 minute. Just observe the feeling in your body and mind. Tell yourself, I see the desire for pleasure. This act of observation creates a space. The first cut in the emotional tie. By practicing this observation, you begin to weaken the power that desire has over you. You cease to be a slave who reacts on impulse and become a warrior who observes the battlefield before acting. However, this desire for immediate pleasure is often fueled by a greater and more treacherous force, excessive ambition, the haste to reach a destination that makes you take the shortcuts that become your worst habits. Your ambition, when uncontrolled, is the mother of your worst bad habits. The intense desire to get rich quick throws you into reckless speculation. The rush to have the perfect body pushes you toward miraculous and unsustainable diets. You focus so much on the shine of the final reward that you become blind to the trap of the shortcut. Miyamoto Musashi teaches that the warrior must focus on the perfection of the strike, not on the glory of the victory it might bring. The samurai method requires you to detach from the result and fall in love with the process. Instead of obsessing over losing 10 kilos, focus on executing today's workout perfectly. The satisfaction is not on the scale of the future, but in the sweat and discipline of the now. By making the process your reward, you eliminate the need to seek the pleasurable shortcuts that become your bad habits. By taming your ambition, you replace anxiety for the future with excellence in the present. Your actions become calm, deliberate, and sustainable. You stop sabotaging your progress with your own haste. With a mind free from the desire for immediate pleasure and the greed for a future result, you gain clarity. The next step is to use this clarity to simplify the battlefield, focusing your energy on a single point. Your newfound clarity is useless if you scatter it. The most common mistake when trying to eliminate bad habits is the resolution list approach. You try to quit smoking, eat better, wake up earlier, and be more productive, all at the same time. This is strategic suicide. It's like dividing your army into 10 weak platoons to fight on 10 different fronts. Defeat is inevitable. The samurai method is about overwhelming focus. Miyamoto Musashi teaches to identify the enemy's vital point and apply all your strength there. Make a list of your bad habits and identify the general, the one habit that if defeated would make the others crumble. Is it your habit of picking up your phone in bed that leads to hours of procrastination? Attack only this one. For 30 days, your only war is against this single enemy. By focusing all your energy on a single point, you create immense pressure and radically increase your chances of victory. After the master habit falls, the others that depended on it weaken. You've won the main battle. Now that your target is set, you need a tactic for the moment of combat, for when the craving attacks. You need a fast-acting weapon, your short sword. The urge to practice your bad habits attacks like an enemy in an ambush, quickly and overwhelmingly. It's a moment of fixation, where your rational mind shuts down and impulse takes over. Trying to fight this wave with pure willpower is like parrying an axe blow with your bare arm. The samurai method teaches that brute force doesn't win an ambush, but a quick and precise counterattack does. Your weapon for this moment is the short sword, a simple, predefined physical action that you execute the instant the desire arises. Its purpose is to break the mental pattern. If your habit is to procrastinate by opening social media, your short sword could be to stand up and do 5 squats. If it's the craving for low-quality food, your short sword is to drink a full glass of water. The physical action breaks the trance of desire. This counterattack doesn't eliminate the urge forever, but it wins the battle of the now. Every time you use your short sword, you weaken the neural connection of your bad habit and strengthen the path of discipline. You are using a physical tactic for a mental problem. But the next level of mastery that Miyamoto Musashi teaches is to use a mental weapon, the art of using the void to disarm the trigger before it even fires. Your bad habits don't arise from nothing. They are set off by a trigger, a feeling of stress, a location, a time of day. This trigger initiates an automatic chain reaction that leads to the craving and the action. The amateur only notices the fight when the craving is already a giant wave. The master, trained in the samurai method, learns to break the chain at its source, at the very first link. He attacks the trigger. The weapon for this is Mushin, the void. When the trigger appears, your task is to do nothing. Don't use your short sword. Just observe the trigger with a mirror-like mind. If stress at work is your trigger for procrastination, the moment you feel it, just observe and name it. The stress trigger. You treat it as an external event, a passing cloud, and not as a command to act. This practice of detached observation creates a crucial space between the trigger and the reaction. In that space, the trigger's power dissipates. The chain reaction doesn't start. While the short sword helps you fight the craving, Mushin prevents the craving from even forming. But to master this technique, you need to understand the origin of these desires. Miyamoto Musashi knew that often the battle is not against the mind, but against the body and its yearning for comfort. This is the hardest lesson of the samurai method. Your conscious mind wants to eliminate bad habits, but your body has its own agenda. It craves pleasure, seeks comfort, and wants to conserve energy at all costs. It is the beast that roars for sugar, that begs for 5 more minutes in bed, that pulls you to the couch. In the journey for discipline, your body is not your ally. It is your first and most intimate adversary. You don't win against this enemy with hatred, but with mastery. Miyamoto Musashi pushed his body to its limits, not as punishment, but to teach it to obey his unshakable will. When you are training and your body screams, "Stop!" your master's mind must say, "One more." You are teaching it who is in command. You are not the beast. You are the beast's tamer. By separating yourself from your body's desires, you stop identifying with them. The urge to procrastinate is not your urge. It is the urge of your body, your enemy. This separation gives you the power to choose. But this is a long battle, and there will be days when the enemy wins. The most dangerous weapon it will use against you after a defeat is not temptation, but your own regret. You will give in. There will be a day when you eat what you shouldn't, procrastinate on what you couldn't. This is the first blow. The second, and far more dangerous, is the one you strike against yourself. The guilt, the shame, the regret. Your bad habits feed on this second wound. It convinces you that since you failed once, you might as well give up entirely. Regret is the weapon the enemy uses to ensure you don't get back up. The samurai method teaches immediate resilience. A warrior who falls in battle doesn't lie on the ground lamenting. He gets back into his fighting stance instantly. When you realize you've given in to a bad habit, your only task is to resume the fight the very next second. Procrastinated for an hour? Close the tab and get back to work without a shred of self-flagellation. The mistake is in the past. The battle is in the now. The journey to eliminate your bad habits is not a straight line, but a series of battles. Losing one skirmish doesn't mean losing the war. Your strength is not measured by never falling, but by the speed at which you rise. However, we often fall not because of our own weakness, but because our determination is propped up by the fragile will of other people. The next step is to learn to fight alone. You tie your journey to eliminate bad habits to someone else's. Let's do this together. You say, this is a fragile alliance destined to fail. The moment your disciplined partner has a weak day, they give you the perfect excuse to have one too. Your determination becomes only as strong as the weakest link in your social circle. This is not the samurai method. It is the herd mentality. Adopt the stance of the Ronin, the masterless samurai, as was Miyamoto Musashi. A Ronin's loyalty is not to a lord, but to his own code of honor. Your commitment is to your path and yours alone. If your friends order dessert, you politely decline, not because you are better than them, but because your decision has already been made and it is non-negotiable. You do not need the world around you to be disciplined for you to have your own. By freeing yourself from dependence on the will of others, you become a fortress. Your decisions are your own, and your journey can no longer be sabotaged by the weakness of others. You have become self-reliant in your determination, but even a lone warrior can be caught in a trap. Your environment is filled with silent triggers. The next step is to learn to cut the links to the distractions that surround you. Your willpower is a finite resource, and depending on it to fight temptation every minute is a losing strategy. The samurai method is not about having superhuman resistance, but about being an intelligent strategist. Miyamoto Musashi would not choose to fight in a swamp if he could lure his enemy to firm ground. Your environment is your terrain. The easiest way to win the fight against your bad habits is to prevent the fight from ever happening. To do this, cut the links. Make your triggers invisible or difficult to access. If your bad habit is endless scrolling, remove the social media apps from your phone's home screen or delete them. The battle against junk food isn't won in your kitchen at night, but at the supermarket. Don't buy it. By creating friction for the bad habit and making the good habit easy, you use environmental engineering to your advantage. By sculpting your environment, you conserve your energy for the battles that truly matter. Discipline becomes the path of least resistance. You have learned to be detached, resilient, self-reliant, and to control your territory. Now, with the entire field prepared, only one act remains. It is not a defense or a preparation, but the final decisive blow. The clean cut that separates your old self from the new. You have prepared the terrain, weakened the enemy, and fortified your mind. Now the final act remains. Eliminating bad habits is not a battle of eternal attrition. It culminates in a moment of decision. The samurai method calls this Kiri-otoshi, the dropping cut. It is a single, clean and decisive blow that ends the combat. For you, this is the act of consciously changing your identity. It's no longer I'm trying to quit, but I am no longer the person who does this. As long as you see yourself as a procrastinator trying to be disciplined, the fight will never end. The old identity is still alive. The clean cut is to declare to yourself your new truth. Go to the mirror and say it out loud. I am a focused person. I am someone who takes care of their body. You are not lying to yourself. You are giving an order to your mind. You are assuming the identity that your new actions have already begun to build. With this final act, the tie to your bad habits is not just weakened, it is severed. The war ends because you are no longer the same warrior who fought that battle. Miyamoto Musashi gave you the strategies and the blade. The execution of this last and most important strike, however, belongs entirely to you. The path is now closed. You began this journey fighting the shadows of your bad habits. Now you know the true enemy, and you hold in your hand the blade to cut it out by the root. You have learned to detach from pleasure, to tame your ambition, to fight with a warrior's tactics, and to execute the cut that redefines who you are. The chains that held you are no longer invisible. They are exposed, ready to be broken. But owning the blade does not make you a warrior. The question that remains is, will you have the courage to use it? The next time the trigger for your bad habit fires, will you go back to being a puppet of desire, or will you execute the cut? The war against your weaknesses doesn't end with this video. It begins with your next decision. The choice is yours. This dojo is for those who refuse to be slaves to themselves. If this is your war for self-liberation, subscribe to the channel and activate notifications to continue forging your discipline. Remember everything you have learned here. The blade is in your hand. Now make the cut.